A thread by Larry Schweikart. A most unique man and an American hero, Walter E. Williams, died today. Born on March 31st, 1936, Williams grew up without a father in the Philadelphia housing projects. His neighbor was Bill Cosby, and many of the characters in Cosby's sketches were kids Williams knew. In 1959, after graduating high school and driving a yellow cab, Williams was drafted into the U.S. Army, where he basically raised hell against segregation. He was so vociferous that he was court martialed. Williams represented himself during the court martial and was not guilty. I recall when he came to the University of Dayton to speak, he spoke of his time in the Army and how he saw East Germany with its fortifications designed to keep people in. Sent to Korea, he marked Caucasian on his forms, for which he was questioned. He replied that blacks got the worst jobs and worst positions. Then he made his case in a letter to President John Kennedy. JFK must have been struck by the letter because he referred it to the Department of Defense, and Williams received a response from the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, which Williams labeled the most reasonable response I received from any official. During these years, Williams considered himself a radical and identified with Malcolm X, but really just wanted to be left alone. He received an MA at Cal State, Los Angeles, and then a PhD at UCLA, where he was instructed by such noted economists as Armand Alchian and Nobel Prize winner James Buchanan. Williams moved into more libertarian positions. At the same time, Thomas Sowell was on campus teaching. Williams didn't take a class from Sowell, but the two became lifelong friends. After teaching at Temple U and serving as a visiting scholar at the Hoover Institution, Williams took a position at George Mason University, which is where I met him in the early 1980s during my work on Southern banking. Williams was a syndicated columnist and wrote a number of books, in my mind, the most important of which was The State Against Blacks, which showed the harmful effects of ordinary day-to-day regulations on black people. His great talent, as with Thomas Sowell, was explaining complicated economic theories simply with everyday examples. Williams eschewed work in the academic journals, instead writing common sense economics books and columns. He became a regular guest host for Rush Limbaugh, where he would regularly entertain the audience with stories of Mrs. Williams, Connie Taylor. I recall one time he was so concerned about Mrs. Williams shoveling snow that he bought her a snowblower. His personal biography and life story made him hard to attack, so liberals tended to try to slough him and Sowell off as tokens. Rest in peace, Walter. You will be missed.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.